Right now, this is what's going on. Well, the market did start to rise again, but now some of those gains are going away. But here's the thing, these things don't bother me at all. This is just noise for a short time. Also, this really doesn't matter to you if you're not actively day trading or trying to flip XRP on those smaller time frames. And this is what I'm really thinking about. Q4 is going to be huge for crypto. Without a doubt, I think Q4 will be great. Now comes the fun part. The way things are going with crypto is likely to last until the first quarter of 2026. We are going to cook some more. This looks a lot like what we saw in 2017 and 2018. But now for the good news. The SEC just turned everything around. We're going to break that down into its parts and go over what the SEC just said below. Here are some of the most important things that have caused XRP and the crypto market as a whole to grow. These are the things that change the market. For a moment, let me go back to Bitcoin and Ethereum. We love talking about XRP here, and that's what we're mostly interested in, but bear with me, understanding these triggers is very important. Think about the huge events that caused Bitcoin to go from less than $25,000 to more than $120,000. Isn't that crazy growth? Do you remember how banks started to fail in March 2023? That caused a lot of fear. As a safe haven, Bitcoin was quickly bought by regular people. Bitcoin went from less than $30,000 to almost $50,000 by the end of the year, just because people were afraid. Then there was January 2024, which was very important. The OK from the ETF. This was the most important thing we'd ever seen for Bitcoin. It went from $42,000 to above $19,000 by the end of the year. Almost every Bitcoin ETF application that was made in 2024 was accepted. The major news outlets went crazy. A lot of small buyers came in. And by the end of the year, Bitcoin was getting a lot of attention from the White House. Some people even talked about a strategic Bitcoin hoard. Even though there was a lot of chaos, confusion, trade wars, and tariffs in 2025, Bitcoin still went from a low of $74,000 to $124,400. Why? Important things that set off the motion. Let's talk about Ethereum now. Not long ago, Ethereum's triggers weren't working as hard. Yes, the ETF was approved in 2024, and Ethereum had a good run, but things really got interesting in 2025. Everything changed when Tom Lee said he wants to make an Ethereum bank like Michael Saylor has been doing with MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. This caused a huge flood of buyers to rush into Ethereum. In a very short time, we saw it go from less than $1,400 to almost $5,000. Also, guess what? A lot more triggers are on the way for Ethereum, acceptance of stablecoins, or acceptance at the institutional level. The tank still has a lot of gas in it. That being said, why am I talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum triggers for so long? We need to talk about what's next for XRP and other cryptocurrencies, especially alt season triggers. This is what's in front of us. ETFs for coins that don't change value. It's not just XRP either. There are a huge number of altcoin ETFs just waiting to be approved. This might be the push we've been looking for. Now comes the fun part. The first due dates for most of these ETFs are coming up very soon. Let's be honest. The market and XRP aren't exactly slaying it right now. We've talked about this. We've taken care of it. Also, yes, we have talked about it a lot in the last few days. But this is what I'm really interested in. October. Almost everyone in the space is very, very careful right now to watch October. When I think back to 2024, October was really dull. There was no interesting stuff going on. John Squire wrote a great piece that asks, will XRP break the October curse? The numbers are also interesting. Around the end of October, XRP has lost money 7 times out of the last 12, for a total drop of about 4.6%. That hurts. Okay, now though, this is where things get interesting. For bears, October could be the month that everything changes because ETFs are about to be approved. If you look at past performance records, October 2023 and 2024 weren't very good. To be honest, most of these efforts in October have not been very good. But I keep going back to 2017 because things are very interesting there. Just like now, September 2017 was a bearish month. After that, there was a small gain of 1.49% in October. there isn't anything crazy or noteworthy about it. Then November came along and blew up with a 25.3% gain. In December, a crazy increase of over 800%. That's my point. If we look at how the space is doing from month to month, I really think we could see the whole story change. October doesn't have to be a bad month. There's no need for us to follow a set routine. There's no need for us to exactly copy 2017 or follow a certain bull run plan. The trigger and the ETFs are what matter in this case. That is our main driving force. In October, the SEC will make these important choices. There are 5 of them on the calendar right now. Since they're all planned for the end of the month, I think the beginning of October might be pretty slow and dull. Things will get more heated as the SEC deadlines get near. These events could be big turning points, or they could turn into sell the news events where everyone buys up until the date and then sells if something happens. It will move the market either way. This is what I'm really interested in with these ETFs. Are all of these big approvals about to happen? Because we know this. ETFs are pretty sure that XRP will go up in value. A lot of people think that an XRP ETF will come out by the end of this year. Also, I really think we can get it, and I think we will. I believe we should have a lot of faith in the acceptance of an XRP ETF. The SEC has been giving us a lot of good news lately. The generic listing guidelines were the most important change. We've talked about this a lot on the channel, but the SEC turned everything on its head, which is big. This comes from 𝗙𝗶. Big news here. The SEC has asked the companies that make Litecoin, XRP, Solana, Cardano, and Dogecoin ETFs to take back their 19B4 files. Why? The need for those files has been taken away since the approval of the generic listing standards. From what she's heard, withdrawals could begin as early as this week. I understand what you mean. I hear you say that withdrawals sound bad. In fact, no. Because this is important. Let me explain more. Since the SEC accepted the general listing standards 2 weeks ago, exchanges no longer have to file those 19B4 forms to list individual token ETFs. This greatly speeds up the whole process and makes it much easier to understand. In fact, this move shows that the new process is working just the way it was meant to. The end result is this. The SEC can now accept a crypto ETF at any time with just an S1 filing as long as the tokens meet the already set requirements. That's it. That's all they need.